You're looking for your new summer home and you are surfing the web and you find the cutest little rancher. Looks absolutely perfect. Brand new paint, manicured, not a damn thing wrong with it. And you keep reading and it says cash purchase only. So you're like, well, Chris, why can't I get a mortgage to buy this house? Well, it's actually something that's common down in these beach areas, and you have to look and see if a letter of significant damage was issued by the insurance company. So what's a letter of significant damage? Well, if for any reason during a storm, let's say a house floods, if it has 50% more of its assessed value in damages, that means the insurance company is going to issue a letter of significant damage. Let's say the house is worth $400,000. House gets flooded. House requires $200,000 worth of repairs. Well, insurance company is going to issue a letter of significant damage. Well, what does that mean to you? Well, look at it. It's beautiful and everything looks great. Is the house still at ground level? Did they raise the home? Because if they didn't raise the home, you may have to raise it. And that's not chump change. So let me tell you a real quick story. I had a buyer who was looking, exact same situation, a beautiful little rancher right across from Tom's River. So place looks beautiful. We go put an offer in. They accept the offer. Except what we didn't know until after we were into the offer is that the home was issued that letter, and as such, it needed to be raised. It didn't just need to be raised. The city issued a letter, an affidavit letter, which is essentially like a contract stating that you acknowledge the city is giving you 3 years to raise the house. So you say, okay, well, what could it cost to raise a house? Back in the day in Ventnor, like after Hurricane Sandy, you could raise a ranch home for $40,000, $50,000. Okay, and listen, it's not a small number, but we sent out an engineer figuring, okay, before we do anything, let's find out how much it's going to cost. Guess how much that number came back at? Let's give you a minute. Okay, you ready? The engineer comes back and says it is going to be $200,000 to $300,000 to raise that little 850 or so square foot rancher. And I went, excuse me? And he said, you heard me. And I said, I don't understand. Just last year, the year before, I had spoken to someone about one in Ventnor and it was about 50 grand. And I said, what's the deal? He says, well, it's located across from Tom's River. I said, yeah, that's river. And he goes, while it may be called Tom's River, it is actually considered ocean. And the foundation needed to be built for the home, being able to withstand some gazillion gallons of water and how many bazillion pounds of pressure so that it would stay standing. So at that point, needless to say, the deal died. But I mean, these are things that you have to be concerned with, because at that point you say, well, do I knock down the house, buy it for the land and build a new house? Do I raise it? Now you've raised it, and we're talking only like a floor. We're not talking about raising it 2 stories. We're talking about raising it 1 story, about 8 feet to 12 feet, and all you can do with that space underneath is use it as a garage and use it as storage. You can't use it as living space. And that's yet another thing you need to understand. You're putting all of that money in just to raise the house. So this is one of the things that you definitely want to consider anytime you're looking at anything that's located on waterfront, beach. Make sure you pull an Oprah. Make sure you find out, through your insurance carrier if any claims were made against the property. This is not something that you want somebody to go, surprise, because it is insanely expensive. You say, oh, well, if you're buying beachfront, you've got the money to pay for that. No, you don't necessarily do. So definitely make sure you do the homework, have your agent do the homework for your protection, because you don't want to get yourself into something that you can't get out of.